Hey there, hi there, ho there, it's Wispapedia. Season 13 of Destiny 2 has been really strong so far. It's been a huge leap forward in a number of ways, and it's getting me pretty excited to see what is coming next from the seasonal model. Today, I want to talk about a few specific aspects from the storytelling that really stick out to me. Footage from the new strike and the cutscene from this week are included, so be warned, there are spoilers ahead. 1. Characters and character-driven plot. I want you to think back to the last year of Destiny 2, Shadowkeep specifically. Can you explain to me anything that happened during that year? Or explain why any of those things happened? The Almighty was going to crash into the last city and destroy it, but what happened to set that event in motion? I certainly couldn't tell you. Part of this is because the story was so heavily based on the events that sort of just happened in succession. If you read the lore, there were characters moving plot points behind the scenes, but that is part of the problem too. So much happened behind the scenes that players didn't really see firsthand. More on that later. The thing about this season that has been so refreshing is that characters have moved the plot instead of being moved by the plot. Crow, Osiris, Saladin, Zavala, Keitel, and even the Guardian have moved the plot forward. Every character's actions have consequences, and they are directly seen in-universe. This is not new to this season, however, as even Season of the Hunt had plot points that moved us clearly from one large story beat to the next. The Cabal have been so fractured by the war with the Hive, and it makes sense that Keitel would become our next big bad this season. The through line of different events has really pushed our large story events from one to another in a very convincing fashion, and that creates a much more focused story. The characters have been at the helm of all of these. Zavala's choice not to bow pushes us into this war. Osiris' appointment to Zavala's advisor gave us an edge on Keitel in the conflict. Saladin's work on the field helped us to direct our forces to triumph against the Cabal. These choices have all moved the story forward in numerous different ways. This makes the story feel more personal and builds much stronger connection to the characters. For example, just think about how much Crow's character has progressed this year. Last season, he was a completely new Guardian. He was captured and forced to work for the Spider. Now he's a trusted member of the Last City, and his identity is even known by the Vanguard. He's a fully fleshed out character with strong motivations. This complete characterization is refreshing, and fairly new to Destiny. All told, the characters have strong motivations and strong reasons for holding the beliefs that they do, and this just builds more personal connections to these characters and makes the story feel like it has a little bit more impact. 2. First-person story experience. One of my favorite things about the story in Season 13 is that we experience the story from a very first-person perspective. This seems to be a central theme since Beyond Light, but I love that the characters speak directly to the Guardian and have a conversation with them. When a story beat does happen, you hear from the different characters themselves. This time, you don't have to read about the events unfolding. You hear about them. You see them happening in cutscenes. Again, this isn't really new. Beyond Light as a whole, meaning from the beginning of the DLC till now, has been doing a much better job of having our characters see the story happening. It feels like we are a part of the story as it happens. Because we are hearing directly from characters and seeing more plot-heavy cutscenes, we don't miss any vital information. I do enjoy reading the lore cards as they drop, however, and that has also been really strong this season. One of the best moves in D2 was putting lore in the character screen. The lore supplements the story beautifully, and players can read it for background information that enhances the story, but most of the story is happening in the game. This is a vast improvement over how the story was written previously. In Season of the Worthy, the Scion that sabotaged the Almighty's control was connected to our Guardian somehow. I think we had defeated its sibling, or something along those lines, but I personally don't remember the connection. And to be honest, I don't really care. It is more palpable and apparent that the story has its consequences for the entire Destiny universe when we see these things happening around us. We know the connections to different characters and their motivations because we can see them more clearly. Even the dialogue during Battlegrounds has helped to flesh out characters more. The different conversations have helped to build characters to be more well-rounded and fleshed out. This helps the player to feel more connected and more involved in the story. It makes the story itself feel more alive, and I'm really happy that the Destiny story is actually quite good. 3. Big story beats matter. I've mentioned this already, but it is a very strong aspect of this seasonal model. Think about the Taken King. Many regard this as the best time in Destiny and one of the strongest stories. Oryx was a good villain, but I think the connection to Oryx was amplified because it was the first time we saw our actions have any impact on the story. The only reason Oryx came to hunt down the Guardians was because we killed his son Crota, otherwise he never would have bothered with our system. Before Oryx showed up, Destiny was kind of like a Monster of the Week game. This made most of the story beats feel like the Guardians were purely reactionary, and would just kind of hang out until a big bad showed up. Then they'd go deal with the problem and we would move on. This is part of the reason the story didn't really connect with people. Now, however, each story beat has moved into another so cleanly. The story has never felt more focused than it does this year. As such, I really feel this is seasonal content at its strongest. Season of the Hunt moved into Season of the Chosen really well, with the major events of Season 12 creating the catalyst for Season 13's major arc. This also set up many of the major players' character interactions and motivations. The fallout of the events for both seasons are so clearly felt by the player and all of the NPCs. The only event that really feels like it had this impact so far in Destiny 2 was Kate's death. But now, I'm excited to see what's coming next. It seems like the seasonal storyline has been wrapped up, but we still have nearly 2 months of this season left. I'm sure there is more planned, as we still have the unanswered questions of the Glycon and Callus, in whatever form he's in, floating around somewhere. Something has to happen to lead us into Season 14, and I'm sure we will start hearing whispers of that in the next few weeks. I'm looking forward to seeing where the story is heading next. Hey, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Wispedia. You can call me Wisp. Share in the comments your favorite parts of the story in Season 13, and or any predictions for Season 14 that you have, and do the usual YouTube things, like and sub. Catch me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Wispedia, and I'll catch you next time.